Welcome to my channel Alien Signal. The alien fleet appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's orbit was quiet, filled only with satellites, research stations, and the occasional cargo vessel traveling between lunar colonies. The next moment, the sky above the planet filled with shadows, massive, metallic shapes emerging from folds in space like predators rising from dark water. Within minutes, every telescope on Earth turned toward them. There were hundreds of ships. No, thousands. The vessels formed an enormous formation stretching across low orbit. Their hulls were black and angular, glowing faintly with strange blue energy lines that pulsed like veins. Every global defense system activated instantly. Military satellites powered weapons that had never been fired before. Radar systems screamed with warnings. Nuclear submarines surfaced, but none of it mattered. The alien fleet was simply too large. Then the message arrived. Every screen on Earth, phones, televisions, computers, billboards, military consoles, flickered at the same time. A symbol appeared first, a rotating geometric emblem made of interlocking rings. Then the voice came. It was calm, mechanical, perfectly translated. Civilization of Planet 3 of Sol. You are now under the authority of the Carthy X Dominion. People across the world froze. The voice continued. Our scans indicate primitive technology, divided governance, and limited interstellar capability. Resistance would be illogical. A massive alien ship slowly moved forward from the fleet. You are granted 72 of your planetary hours to surrender your governments, militaries, and industrial systems to the Dominion. A pause. If you comply, your species will be preserved as a labor population. Another pause. If you refuse, this planet will be sterilized. Across Earth, panic erupted. Stock markets crashed within minutes. Cities filled with sirens. Governments called emergency sessions. Social media exploded with fear, conspiracy, and disbelief. But inside the United Nations Emergency Council bunker in Geneva, the mood was different. Calmer, focused. President Amara Cade of the Global Defense Coalition leaned forward at the central table. So, she said quietly. They think we're primitive. A military officer nodded grimly. Their fleet could destroy us easily, ma'am. Our satellites estimate they have energy outputs thousands of times greater than ours. Another scientist added, their technology is centuries ahead. Silence filled the room. Then President Cade looked at the others. Good. Several people blinked. Good. The officer repeated. Cade smiled faintly, because if they understood us properly, they wouldn't have come. Up in orbit, aboard the flagship Judgment of Stars, the Carthy X commanders observed Earth carefully. The Carthy X species were tall and thin, with dark metallic skin and glowing eyes like burning coals. Their empire spanned hundreds of star systems. Conquering worlds was routine. Primitive civilizations like Earth usually surrendered within hours. Commander Vexter stood before a massive holographic display showing the planet. Population, 8 billion, he said. Technological level, pre-interstellar. Military capability, negligible. Another officer tilted its head. Did they show signs of surrender? Vexter examined the planetary communications. Not yet. They are debating. The officer chuckled. Typical primitives. He gestured toward Earth. They always think unity will save them. Vexter narrowed his eyes. Still, something felt strange. The humans were not panicking the way other species did. There were no massive evacuation attempts. No desperate surrender signals. Instead, they were building something all over the planet. Factories were running non-stop. Launch facilities were activating. Hidden bunkers were opening. Orbital stations were moving into new formations. Vexter frowned. What are they constructing? A technician responded. Unknown. Another pause. Then the officer shrugged. Whatever it is, it will not matter. He smiled coldly. They have 72 hours. Back on Earth, the countdown had already begun. But humanity wasn't preparing to surrender. It was preparing to fight. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, inside a facility that officially didn't exist, hundreds of engineers worked in silence. Massive reactors hummed. Quantum computers calculated billions of possibilities. At the center of the chamber stood something enormous. A weapon, but not like anything the world had seen before. Dr. Elias Moreno stood beside the machine, watching streams of data flow across holographic screens. A young engineer approached nervously. "Doctor, are we really doing this?" Moreno nodded. "We don't have a choice. But the calculations, I know." The engineer hesitated. "If the timing is even slightly wrong." Moreno finished the sentence. "Then we won't just destroy their fleet." He looked toward the giant machine. "We'll tear open space itself." The alien fleet waited. 24 hours passed. Still no surrender. 36 hours. Human ships began launching from Earth. Small vessels. Cargo ships. Satellites. The Carthy X ignored them. 48 hours. More launches. Hundreds. Then thousands. They formed a strange web of objects across orbit. Commander Vexter stared at the display. "What are they doing?" A technician responded. "Deploying satellites." "How many?" The technician hesitated. "Millions." Vexter's eyes narrowed. "That is unusual." On Earth, the final preparations continued. The weapon beneath the Nevada desert was almost ready. It had taken humanity 30 years to secretly build. 30 years preparing for a threat they had never even seen. The project had one name. Ares Protocol. It was based on a terrifying idea. If humanity ever faced a technologically superior alien civilization, they wouldn't try to outgun them. They would break the battlefield itself. Dr. Moreno looked at the countdown timer. 3 hours left. President Cade appeared on the secure communication screen. Status. Moreno took a breath. Ares is ready. Probability of success. 32%. Silence. Then Cade nodded slowly. "That's higher than I expected." Moreno smiled weakly. "You're taking this very calmly." Cade folded her arms. "Doctor, humanity survived ice ages, world wars, nuclear brinkmanship, and climate collapse." She leaned closer. "You think we didn't prepare for aliens?" 72 hours arrived. The alien fleet broadcast again. "This is the Carthy X Dominion. You have reached the end of your surrender window." Commander Vexter looked at Earth. "Prepare sterilization weapons." Massive energy cannons began charging across the fleet. Below, billions of humans watched the sky. Praying. Waiting. Inside the Nevada facility, Drive. Moreno placed his hand on the final control panel. President Cade's voice came through the speakers. "Doctor, this is it." Moreno nodded. "If this works, they'll never invade another planet again. And if it doesn't," Moreno exhaled slowly, "then humanity ends today." A long pause. Then Cade said the words that would be remembered for centuries. "Do it." Up in orbit, the Carthy X fleet prepared to fire. Commander Vexter raised his hand. "Commence planetary sterile." Then something happened. Across orbit, millions of tiny human satellites activated simultaneously. 3 seconds. That was all it took. Every satellite fired a synchronized pulse of energy toward a single point in space. The pulses collided, merged, amplified. Reality itself began to distort. Commander Vexter stared in horror. "What is that?" The answer came instantly. A tear in space. A gravitational rupture forming directly inside the alien fleet. The humans hadn't built a weapon. They had built a singularity trigger. A miniature black hole formed in the middle of the Carthy X Armada. Ships closest to it were crushed instantly. Metal twisted like paper. Gravity spiraled out of control. Entire cruisers were dragged toward the growing vortex. Alarms screamed across the alien fleet. Retreat. But it was too late. The black hole expanded rapidly, feeding on the enormous mass of alien ships. One by one, the vessels vanished into the darkness. Commander Vexter gripped the command console. How did primitives create this? No one answered, because there was no answer. The Carthy X had conquered hundreds of worlds. But none of those civilizations had been human. Within minutes, the once mighty alien fleet was collapsing into chaos. Ships tried to escape, but the gravitational storm was too strong. The black hole devoured them. Thousands of vessels gone. On Earth, the sky slowly cleared. The enormous alien fleet was disappearing. People around the world stared in disbelief. Then cheering erupted. Humanity had survived. Inside the Nevada facility, Drive. Moreno slumped into a chair. It worked. President Cade's voice returned. Yes. She paused. But send the message. Moreno nodded. He activated Earth's transmitters. Across the galaxy, a signal spread outward. A simple translation broadcast. To the Carthy X Dominion. You gave Earth 72 hours to surrender. A pause. Humanity's final message followed. We needed 3 seconds. And far beyond the solar system, in distant alien empires watching the disaster unfold, one truth became very clear. Humanity might not be the most advanced species in the galaxy, but it was definitely the one you should never threaten. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.